All right, last week we talked about the decline of the Qin Dynasty. This week we're going to talk about the decline of the Han Dynasty. The decline and legacy of the Han Dynasty. What were the major achievements of the Han Dynasty and why did it collapse? Unlike the Qin Dynasty before it, the Han Dynasty encouraged the cultural development of Chinese society. During the Han Dynasty, the arts, literature, and science flourished. Achievements. In addition to establishing a civil service exam, the Han required that their public servants have some cultural accomplishments. During the Han Dynasty, a new form of poetry called Fu combined prose and rhyme. Also, various writers wrote works of history, philosophy, and politics. Okay, so during the Qin Dynasty, if you guys remember, he was real closed-minded. If it wasn't medicine, magic, oh my gosh, I'm having a brain fart. Um, Remember, he burned all the books. So the Han Dynasty was not like that. He was much more open. He wanted people to have a good background. He brought back the arts. He brought back literature. We're talking about poetry here. There were also numerous artistic achievements. Painting on the walls of buildings and the interior of tombs was common. Craftsmen expertly created sculptures and pottery that were used in ceremonies as well as daily living. Silk garments and linens became popular and were a major export traded along the Silk Road. Right, so in the Han Dynasty, we're starting to see painting and pottery and more trade. Remember, we talked about how trade of silk was really important on the Silk Road, so we start seeing that in the Han Dynasty. In addition to these cultural achievements, the Han invented paper and developed clocks, sundials, and a seismogram, an instrument for detecting and measuring earthquakes. The cultural impact of this dynasty was so great that modern Chinese still call themselves the Han people. The decline. During the later period of Han rule, political conflict and corruption plagued the dynasty. In 184 CE, a large rebellion broke out, led by a large group called the Yellow Turbans. This group attempted to overthrow the emperor. The Han formed a huge army at great cost to stop the rebellion. However, in the late stages of the Han Dynasty, 8 of the 14 emperors who ascended to the throne were 15 years old or younger. The families and advisors of these young emperors were usually the true source of power and frequently abused their position for personal gain. This inefficient leadership and corruption hindered efforts to stop the rebellion, which continued for 2 decades. That's 20 years. In 2020 CE, the last Han emperor gave up his throne to the son of a powerful warlord named Ko, thereby ending the Han Dynasty. However, the Han Dynasty left an impressive legacy that had far-reaching influence. Okay, so in the later period of the Han Dynasty, political conflict happened, stuff with the government. There's a lot of corruption, which means that the government was like abusing their power and doing bad things or things that the people didn't agree with. So a group decided, heck no, we're not taking it anymore. We're going to overthrow the government. And this group was called the Yellow Turbans. Okay, they tried to overthrow the emperor. The Han had to spend a ton of money to have an army. Unfortunately, in the end, the Han Dynasty did not survive, and a lot of that was because their emperors were 15 years or younger. Could you imagine you guys being an emperor at your age? So their families kind of ruled and took advantage. So it didn't work out for them. The early dynasties of China expanded the empire, organized society, and created a unified culture that extended throughout China and also influenced other regions and civilizations. Some of these influences can still be seen today.